G'day legends, Sunken Dutchman here, and this is how I smoke my fish. First thing first is the brine. Now, no matter what the fish, if it's snapper, tuna, kingfish, the brine is always the same. I have sea salt, chili flakes, sugar. I use Rapadura sugar, use whatever sugar you got, fennel seeds, peppercorns, bay leaves, and garlic. Okay, so I don't do measurements. And obviously change the amount to suit your taste and whatever. I use that much sea salt, that much sugar. The only thing I really worry about with the sugar and salt is I use 40-60 salt to sugar, so less salt than sugar. That much chili flakes, obviously adjust it to taste. 2 or 3 bay leaves. No one really knows what they do to things anyway, so put as many in as you like. That much fennel seeds. That much peppercorns. Give them a bit of crush in a mortar and pestle before you chuck them in. Helps release the flavour. And a couple cloves of garlic. I don't really dice them up, but I do give them a bit of a smush before I chuck them in. So once you've got all your dry ingredients there for the brine, you add boiling water. Oh, a little bit foggy. And then you want to stir those. Go for it, buddy. So all the ingredients dissolve. And you want to let that steep until it's completely cool. So you want to let it come down, back down to room temperature again. Once your brine has come down to room temperature, you chuck the fish in the brine. Now, before you chuck the fish in the brine, just make sure that all your fish are cut to relatively the same size. You don't want super thin pieces and super thick pieces because they'll cook unevenly when you smoke it. Some will be really dry, others won't be all the way cooked through. And the other thing you just want to make sure of in the brine is that all the fish is fully submerged. So that's pretty good. Once all your fish is in the brine, you want to chuck it in the fridge. The longer the better, really. I leave mine in for about 24 to 36 hours, but you know, if you've only got a short amount of time, it's fine. I would, chuck it in for a minimum of 4, but really the longer the better. That's been sitting in the fridge now for a couple of days in the brine. So now I'm just going to take out the fish and put on the drying rack and let it dry there for a couple of hours to develop the pellicle. While the fish is drying out, I've got some coals that are getting lit up, and I've got some wood chips soaking in some water, some lukewarm water. I use apple wood, but you can use whatever wood chips you like, whatever sort of flavour you get. Once they're fully soaked and they've taken on all the water, you tip the water out just so you've got the wet wood chips. And then once those coals are lit up, I'll dump them into one corner, I'll chuck the wood chips on, and then I'll throw the fish on and put the lid on and let it smoke away. So those coals are nice and hot now. I'll dump them out into the kettle and chuck the wood chips on and then chuck the fish on. Now, how long you cook them for really depends on the size of your fish, what your smoker is, and what fuel you're using. I'm using charcoal. I got this kettle here, and fish chunks about that thick, I'll probably go for about 35 minutes. I cook it at about 120 degrees, but obviously if you've got a smoker that can maintain a heat for a lot longer, that's lower, like 80 degrees, you can cook it for a lot longer, like hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It still produces a really nice result, but just with mine, I know that, yeah, I probably got about 35 minutes at 120 degrees and I can maintain that heat. So I've got the hot coals on one side, the fish on the other, and that is it. Chuck the lid on and leave it. Just forget about it. I'll watch the temp, make sure it's up around that 120 degrees, and yeah, see you in 35 minutes. One thing that I did also forget to mention is that you don't want you put your fish on the direct heat, so right above the coals. You don't want to like barbecue it. You want the smoke to circulate and the heat to circulate through and cook it that way. You can see there that the temp's where I want it. It peaks up to 150 degrees, and then over the next half hour it'll just slowly drop down, down, down. That's what I'm after. It sort of seals the fish, and then it doesn't cook it too hot on that temperature for the full 35 minutes. It does drop down as we go. So 35 minutes is up. We'll have a look at them. Yep, they look done. So that's it. They are done. All the fish there ready to be eaten. You know, nice and juicy. Hasn't lost any of its moisture content. Hasn't dried out, which is really nice. So yeah, hope you guys get out there and try it yourselves. Enjoy.